Welcome into the Hustle Show podcast. It's Wednesday. I'm Drew Martin, joined by Chris Thurston, Kelly Stewart, Adam Trigger, WagerTalk.com. We got VivaTequilaSeltzer.com. Promo code Hustle20 at checkout takes 20% off. We are breaking down college basketball slate for tonight. Maybe some extra stuff off the board, if you will, throughout the next 30 to 40 minutes. Going around the horn here, welcoming in the crew. Chris Thurston at CTBets16 on Twitter. CT Bets, welcome in, buddy. How you feeling?
Drew Martin Bets, any better, I'd be in heaven, to be honest with you. I'm still celebrating Sunday. I'm still celebrating football season and the playoffs and the Chiefs. It was a good way to close out. But, Drew, the show must go on. And college hoops, we're here until the national championship. And I plan to keep my pretty good run in college hoops going as well. So good to be here back with my three best friends. And let's get it rocking and rolling.
Love to hear it, man. At least somebody made some money in the Super Bowl. I know I didn't. At Kelly in Vegas on Twitter, Kelly Stewart, Barstool Sportsbook, WagerTalk.com. Kelly, did you make any money in the Super Bowl?
No, Drew, I went 0-2. And actually, I did. I did make a little bit of money. I hit a Super Bowl square, but by that point, I'd had so many Vivas, and I was so pissed at so many different outcomes that didn't occur that I was like, oh, cool, fuck me, right? I won the squares. And everybody's like, if you don't want the money, we'll just take it. And I'm like, it's not about that. Yeah, you know how it goes. It was a really fun time. Threw a great party. Drank a lot of Vivas. Had a lot of friends over, and the Chiefs fans at my party were very happy. The Eagles fans left very, very quickly. I'll leave it at that.
Were they screaming back and forth at each other? Was there a lot of like?
No, but you know what ended up happening? I noticed because, like, you know, when you're hosting, you're talking to everybody, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't have any skin in the game as far as the side of the total goes, so I was watching, and I noticed basically the Eagles fans ended up on the couch. The Chiefs fans were outside on that TV. And then like everybody else that was just either there for the drinks or whatever was kind of just mingling. But it was very interesting how it got very separated very quickly, especially right after that Chiefs fumble 6 or whatever the heck it actually was. I missed the entire play because I was too busy being in the kitchen. Shocker, I know.
All right. Well, I know your Super Bowl parties are fun. I know from experience in the past. So
Muhammad's over here crying. Cry harder, Muhammad. You deserve all of the pain and suffering. And I know that I shouldn't be mean to you, but all you did for the last 6 weeks was fucking chirp in these comment sections. I didn't care about the outcome of the game, but now that you just brought that up, now I just have to take that, Muhammad. Sorry, Eagles fans.
Fly, Eagles, fly, Muhammad. Fly, Eagles, fly.
Got the green on and everything there, CT Bets. Guys,
yeah, CT even dressed for the Fly Eagles Fly occasion.
Yeah. One thing I learned from betting the Super Bowl this year is don't put too much on like the kickoff or the coin toss, because if you lose that bet, it kind of ruins the rest of the day. That's something that happened to me with the kickoff. I bet no touchback, and of course, boom! It almost like he could have caught it, but he didn't. And, hey, it is what it is. Adam Trigger at Top Flight SI on Twitter, WagerTalk.com. He does spaces on Twitter, all kinds of stuff. Knows his college basketball, except for one game tonight. I think he might be a little bit off. But Trig, welcome in, man. How you feeling?
I feel good. I had the Chiefs. I mean, it was just like I kind of just piggybacked it. Like Saturday night, I was like, all right, it looks like the right side to me. I didn't really have much of a handicap. I knew Chris liked them. That was sort of enough for me to be like, all right, that's my side here. What I learned, Drew, is don't put too much money on the Rihanna props that you know are going to win because you might not get paid for them. And I'll leave it at that. Found that out. Yeah, listen, it happens.
Yeah, and when CT's like, I can't believe you didn't trust my information. I've been down that road before, Trig, and I'll leave it at a very neutral level there because I do work for a sports book, so I have to be careful. But yeah, when you are trying to get down, multiple bets on sharp action, I mean, I sat right there and told everybody, I go, the anthem's going over. And they're like, what? And I'm like, I already knew it was going over, but I didn't have anywhere I could bet it. Like, there was nothing I could do.
Yeah.
And even though I got great information on it, didn't matter. And you're right. Sometimes that's the gamble, if you will, that you take betting with either locals or offshore. There's nobody there to regulate and force them to pay you.
I got paid 2 out of the 3 guys that I bet the Rihanna props.
Good.
So won some money. Can't complain off of it. But yeah, one guy that Trig and I got down pretty big with refused to pay. But it is what it is. Exactly like you said, Kel.
Man, interesting. You know, like I saw somebody like Dave Mason. He tweeted out like, "Hey, if you want to bet that stuff, you got to bet it early in the
Right.
week."
I
So,
saw
I
that.
mean, I guess you could say that's kind of like a little bit more of a reputable one. But like, I don't know. Do you feel comfortable talking about it, CT, or no?
Yeah, I
How
don't
it went
care.
down?
Sure. Yeah, I feel comfortable talking about it. Yeah, I mean,
What exactly happened?
got some information on what Rihanna's first song and last song was going to be from a really good source. It was 100% confirmed, and tried to get down on it. And by the time I got it, Bet Online had taken it down. A lot of the legal books, we're only offering about $25, $50 on them. So I was able to get down on a few of those, right? But when you have winners, you know how it is. You're betting these at 9-1, 7-1. You want to get some real money down on them. So I was able to with some, the local Joes, right, if you will, and got down a few $100 at a few shops and got paid by 2 out of the 3 of them. One of them cried and said he texted me after the game and said the information was leaked. So I'm voiding those bets. Trig and I talked about this a long time. I would have had more respect for him if he had just canceled them before the game started and not waited until after the game. If he knew that the information was leaked, then he should have canceled those before 6:30 p.m. Eastern when the game started, Drew. So no respect for that guy. But Kelly and I always talk about, can't trust pretty much anybody in this fucking racket.
Or in this world. But that's beside the whole point. I only spent 4 hours today talking to lawyers. So, Joy, I should be having a Viva right now, but I don't think it'd be very good for my mental health.
I thought you were just having a glass of Prosecco.
I know. I thought that was like a glass of champagne. It was like
Oh, no, I'm not celebrating yet, but I'm going to get there. Don't you worry. I always win. I might not win in the short term, but I always win in the long term, and you guys remember that.
Playing the long game here as we got a full slate of college basketball tonight, guys. We're going to get you ready. A bunch of 7 o'clock Eastern. We actually got a 6:30 happy hour special here. Ole Miss in Florida. Gators -10 in the hook, 138 being the total in the SEC. But I know we got some big ones. Alabama and Tennessee coming up. Arkansas, Texas A&M, Xavier, Marquette, number 1 and 2 in the Big East. We can break down, and some late night action. Anybody have anything in that early game that we need to get out first, or a game you guys want to hit at the top?
I just had a horrible flashback, but I'll let them go first, and then I'll tell you what my horrible flashback is, because it'll lead us into...
Now you have to say it, Trig. What is wrong with you? Just say it. What's your horrible flashback?
All right. My horrible flashback was last time Drew and I were on opposite sides in an Alabama basketball game. We did this show, and we did a friendly wager, and I blew a 16-point lead and didn't cover with Alabama. Drew had LSU plus the points. Alabama blew a 16-point lead and then won by 2 on some bullshit, on some total, I think they were just bricking free throws left and right. And then, it was something like that. And now here we are Wednesday night on the hustle. I have Tennessee -3. Drew's on the other side. And I just had a flashback to that. So that was it. I don't know. Should we talk about Tennessee?
So I won't be joining you on Tennessee. That's that gives me just enough. I'm late to the party. Drew likes the other side, and this is what happened last time. That almost gave me enough. Just be like, you know what, Kelly, this is just, you're late. Maybe find something in game here.
Oh, that was such a great time, too. If you guys don't remember, we went to Las Vegas, and Trig picked up the happy hour tab.
Happy hour.
That was for the happy hour tab. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
I remember that.
It was supposed to be 500, but I believe
and it was
over.
terrible because I was so hungover. I couldn't even get my fair share. I was I had one drink. I remember talking to Chris's brother, Steve, and he's like, are you good? And I'm like, not really. I'm just trying to drink this $18 cocktail because Trig had to pay for it.
Yeah. I remember that happened to me too. I was so into the game that was going on because I bet it that I really only had one drink, and as he's closing out, I'm like, no, I need at least one
on the
more.
far side of the bar, watching. I
Chris,
think you had the over.
No, Chris needed Memphis. Chris needed Memphis huge. He got it, but he would have completely trashed that place if they didn't cover that because they led most of the game. I remember that.
Drew, I'd like to go first just because my game's on the move, and hopefully you listened to Trig's Spaces about an hour ago because I gave this one out. I tweeted it out earlier this morning and then gave a breakdown on Trig's Spaces, and you could have got a really good number, and it's moving now. So shop around. And that's I'm heading to the Big East here for my big game breakdown. Xavier at Marquette. And we got some news here, Drew. I'm on Marquette. I have Marquette -5.5 in pocket here. There's still some rogue shops out there where you could get some 6s, Drew, but this thing at respected books have gone up to 7 here. The Musketeers and Marquette Golden Eagles, right? They've stood out as two the most dynamic and competitive teams in the Big East here, and tonight's a huge battle in Milwaukee, right? They currently sit in a tie for first place, and they're playing for the top seed at Madison Square Garden here, and that's available for the taking tonight. And no game matters more than this one. Everyone knows I'm really high on Marquette. I have a nice future in my pocket on them, 30-1, and you could probably get better than that if you shop around right now. I saw some 33-1s on Marquette this morning. I love this team at home, their own building here. They're unbeaten in conference play. They're third in offensive efficiency and shooting the best percentage on 2-pointers in the country. Saw that stat this morning. I thought that was noteworthy to point out here. A lot of their success, it comes from how unselfish they are. And not to mention they really fill it up with a ton of capable scorers. It's not just coming from 1 or 2 guys. On the other hand, Xavier, they're coming off a terrible loss at Butler last Friday. They made a comeback, but it was a little too late there. They're really hurting without their second leading scorer, Zach Fremantle. He hopes to be back by the Big East tourney. Jerome Hunter, he's taken his place to transfer, but he isn't a shooter like Fremantle. That's really killing them. Totally different player. Not to mention Sule Boom, who's their leading scorer, second leading scorer in the Big East. He busted his left ankle last Friday, Drew. He's playing back banged up. And about 45 minutes ago, Drew, they just ruled his backup out, Desmond Claude. That point guard, he's not going to be able to go. So they're shorthanded tonight. They are banged up. The only little dud, really, that Marquette has had is that game that Trig was at a couple weeks ago versus UConn. Other than that, Smart has taken this team and consistently motivated them, molded them, make adjustments on the fly here throughout the game. And I like the Golden Eagles here. They lost to Xavier back in mid-January by 4, and they only shot 25% from deep. That's going to be a different story tonight, Drew. Play on Marquette, -5.5, -6.
Real quick, just to go off what CT said, the reason Marquette struggled with UConn is a really bad matchup for them and one of the few teams that has answers to what they do. Xavier does not, in my opinion. And second, those other guys got ruled out, I think, COVID related. So other people might be under the weather too. It just like that's. I thought I saw that quick. The at least one of the guys that got ruled out just now for Xavier was COVID related. I could be wrong about that, but I thought that's what my little ticker said here. So if that's the case, you might have others playing under the weather. I agree with Chris. Not a great spot for Xavier.
Trig, that's a good. Like we're going back in time here, like what a season or two ago when you just you heard like the murmurs of COVID and you just bet against that team because it was gonna. Oh man,
Drew,
is that a situation?
It's been really strong this year. It just hasn't been talked about as much. What they've called it the flu, like flu illness.
Yeah, but it's not every conference, Trig. It's just a few select ones.
Kel,
like the Big Ten.
Kel, if you've been able to get ahead, if you've been able to get info on teams that have had illnesses, it's probably hitting at like 70%. And it's not like widely publicized because they're not canceling. I mean, sometimes they're canceling games, very rare. Most of the time, they're just playing these games. A lot of the times, it's coming out 10, 15 minutes before the games. The numbers aren't really moving. I'm telling you, if you had the flu information or the illness information, you've done well this year because if you bet against it, it keeps cashing. So it is what it is.
Drew, if you don't mind, I just feel like the listeners would appreciate this real quick. I just got some info. Trig and I saw a sharp group. I don't play NBA, as everybody knows. This morning, they played the Cavs, right? And we were trying to figure out what that was from. I just got a text that saying that it looks like Embiid is out for the 76ers. So that number's on the move. Cavs went from a dog to a favorite. So if you play the NBA, just thought I'd point it out to you.
Yeah, seeing Philadelphia as high as -1 right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say they played +2.5. They played it again at pick. So if you, I mean, -1's basically pick. I don't know to add some context.
Yeah, it looks like the WagerTalk live odds screen going to pick across the board now. DraftKings, the lone -1.
It's off. Yeah, I just got +1.5, but it is off. Good stuff, CT.
Yeah, I'm just trying to help out everybody make some money here.
Just beating closing lines. And CT, I guess just a follow-up to that Marquette play. I like it as well, man. I think Marquette, a lot of what you talked about, winning 6 of 7, 11 of 13. I mean, this team is, 40-1 to win the national championship. I just looked at today. I don't know, man. Worth a shot. But do you think that that's why this line's moving 5.5 to 7? Those guys that are out, and anything to do with COVID, in your opinion?
Yeah. Those are all injury. That's injury related, that move there, and they were shorthanded with Fremantle before, and I thought the line was right at 5.5, Drew, which obviously I liked. Now they're saying that the backup guard for Sule, and Sule not being 100%, that's worth a point and a half. Drew, I expect them to win by double digits tonight.
Okay. And hey, we got our buddy Mark Zeno in the house saying Xavier +5.5. Speaking of going against each other, does that? What are your thoughts about that, CT Bets? When a buddy, a handicapper is going against you, does it make you change your opinion?
Trig and I have this conversation all the time. We could care less. We respect our opinion more than anybody else's out there. Doesn't matter who's on it. We like our opinion, and then if we get little bits and pieces like the information I just gave on Embiid, we take that into effect, Drew. But doesn't matter to me if God's on one side, like Trig said earlier. Doesn't matter. I respect mine and Trig's more than anybody.
I mean, I'm gonna take guys. I take everyone's opinion like it. I don't really want to be on the other side of something that you guys are on. Chris is on, Kelly's on, but like. At the end of the day, yeah, like I love the Vols tonight, -3. I don't really care who's on the other side. And it's not to say I might be wrong about that, but, I've been on a nice run in college hoop, and it checks all the boxes for me. So, that's just like Chris said. Yeah, doesn't matter to me. Could care less. No hard feelings either way.
And Drew, just want to throw this out there, right? Because Kelly and I get the shit for this all the time, right? Everybody's, thanking me for, giving that information right now. I just want to come out and say I am not an NBA handicapper. I am just betting this information. The Cavs might lose this game. Like, the Sixers are more than capable of winning this game without Embiid. I just want everybody to know that right now.
And at a point in time, it does become an overreaction, and I may end up on the other side. We'll see what happens. When's the game tip? In an hour? 45 minutes?
Yeah. We've seen 7:40.
Yeah.
So you got time.
Yeah, so I might.
Well, Kelly,
7:30.
Kel, what you say, though, and that's why I wanted to come back and say it, I was like, they came back and played it again at pick. So I think if you take +1 or pick, that's fine. But I totally get what you're saying. Like, you don't want to chase this a lot of times. Like, if they only played 2.5 and now it's -1, that would be a scenario where I'd be like, all right, maybe I pump the brakes. That's a pretty big move. But since they played again at pick, I would say, okay, yeah, you got +1 or pick, go for it. If you agree with it, if you like it.
Yeah, just wanted to put that out there, Trig. And I agree with you. I would say, short of God, I would stay under that. But I don't care, what other people are betting. I care about the information. Like, okay, what information are you going off of? And then maybe I'll change my opinion on that. But just because like somebody else is betting aside, I'll take notice, but I'll go against it. Kelly, anything? I
think you have to have respect for your friends and whoever you have an opinion on. CT's not going to like this, but he was texting me after the Super Bowl. He's like, you didn't trust me. I love the Chiefs. He was obviously intoxicated, obviously fucking out of his mind excited because he just won a boatload on the Chiefs. And I said, CT, that's not what it is at all. The next morning he texted me, he's like, I'm sorry, I was drunk. I'm like, I don't care. You didn't hurt my feelings, but I understand why. The flip side is sometimes like, hey, I want to feel like you respect my opinion as well. And the bottom line is I respect my opinion ultimately more than anybody else's. And that's something I learned from Kenny White back in the day is you live and die by your own information, your own handicap, your own numbers. Sure, if somebody's smarter than me and I absolutely respect the hell out of them, maybe they could sway me off of a game. But I've been talked into and out of way too many games over the years to do that to myself anymore. So, whether it's somebody agrees with me Would I add a little bit more to my bet? Probably not. It kind of just depends on who the person is, I guess. But if, we're all smashing Vivas and having a good time and we've got money on a game we're going to, I think it just varies, frankly. But let's say I like the Chiefs and then Chris came in and was like, I love the Chiefs, then yeah, maybe I might add to it.
Yeah, that's almost like a different scenario, like going to a game where hanging out with a bunch of friends.
Or, just like different. It kind of just depends. I mean, we all talk all the time. We always are like, hey, what's your best bet? What do you guys like? I think that's totally fine. But yeah, from time to time when you're opposite, that's just how it's going to be. And I tell people that all the time on Twitter. I'm like, you're not fading me. You just like the other side. Now, fading me is saying, okay, Kel likes these 3 games tonight, and then betting the opposite just blindly. Right. That's fading. Right. Disagreeing with somebody because you have your own opinion, your own handicap, completely different scenario. So that's why I think it's funny when people are like, I'm fading. I'm like, are you, or do you just like the other side? Because that's completely different. If you've got your own argument, your own math, and your own rationale for the other side, it's not fading at all.
One thing I don't do, Drew, is it's kind of similar. Is like I threw out Marquette minus 5.5, this morning around 11 a.m. or whatever. And one of my friends, not in our chat group, I won't name him, sends me a tweet from somebody who's not considered very, very good at gambling, right? And he said to me, sorry, CT, you're fucked with Marquette. And I'm like, that means nothing to me, that person's on Marquette. I could literally
I do that to you all the time. When you're like, hey, I like the side, I'm like, rest in peace, so-and-so is on it. And it's probably about 50% of the time, maybe less, that it actually, that person's opinion is, they're not going to lose every single game.
Right. I mean, it's not going to affect the way I think and see the game, Drew. So I just thought I'd throw that out there as well.
Yeah, the question is, do you actually say that to them or text that to them?
Yeah, my exact text is I care about only my opinion. That's it.
Okay. I didn't know if you were like, whatever you said the first time, like, kind of the backhanded slap,
Yeah. I actually, he said, I feel sorry for you. I said, don't feel sorry for me. I could care less. That's what I just reread it. That's exactly what I said.
Hey, Drew, remember, so I got to say, Julian Phillips just ruled out for Tennessee. That kind of sucks for me.
Ooh.
Phillips and Triple J are both out, but I do think Bama's got their big 7-footer is going to be a game time decision. I guess he was warming up in some sort of brace or whatnot. I personally think Tennessee's deep. Like, it's not, I'm already locked in. I'm on -3, but that's just, Drew likes Alabama, so we should be, just giving out the info as it comes in. That is not great for Tennessee. I'll just put that out there. I thought Phillips might play. I knew James was going to be out. That was known. That was baked into the number. But Phillips, I was really hoping would play. I'm not sure if it's moved yet. And like I said, it's not going to get me off Tennessee. I'm still on him. The player in question is Bediako for Alabama. Their 7-footer. If he gets ruled out, that would be the worst one in my opinion, because he's their 7-footer. He's their rim protector. But not good for Tennessee to have those two guys out. Do I think they can still win and cover? Of course. But we're just giving out the info here. That just happened. He just got ruled out. So you might see some Bama buyback, as of right now. So if you do like Tennessee, I would just wait right now, if you haven't bet it yet, till right before tip-off, because it can only probably go one way going forward.
It's still 3.5, and that's why I really didn't get involved, Triggs, because I thought I was too late to the party, even at 3. So either the market hasn't adjusted yet, or bookmakers already knew that he was going to be out.
Trig, what are some other games before we get the best bets that they asked for? I feel like we just kind of focused on 2 games so far. So let's fire a few off. I know we gave some good info, but fire a couple questions that they had. Eh?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many big games tonight. Arkansas is playing Texas A&M. That's a big one. I guess we'll just throw opinions out in some of the, I'll throw an opinion out right there. I think Arkansas is getting too many. I think the number has moved too much. I think at +4, I'd have to side with Arkansas. I still think we're going to see an Arkansas uptick at some point. I think Nick Smith back matters a lot. He's not going to make an impact in one game, but I think him being back in the mix could be impactful going forward. So it's not my favorite thing. I didn't bet it, but where it is now, listen, if you got in with Texas A&M, got yourself -2, -2.5, great.
Yeah.
at +4, I think you're starting to look at some pretty good value with Arkansas, who did, I get that there's regression possibilities based on the numbers of the first game, but Arkansas still won that first game by 11, and I still like Eric Musselman. Chris and I love Musselman. He's probably whacking like a Diet Coke right now, getting ready for the game. Guy just hammers soda on the sideline. He's a psychopath. I love him. I think he's going to get, I really do think that we're in like 2 weeks from now, we're going to see Arkansas having covered a number of games in a row. And listen, they beat Kentucky and they ran into Mississippi State is on fire right now. I can't even really give Arkansas, I'm not even going to dock them for losing that game because Mississippi State is just red hot. So at +4, I gotta lean toward Arkansas right there.
I like your sentiment on that one, Trig. Let me add something. We talked about it on the college basketball show today. I think Arkansas matchup wise is good for the Razorbacks against Texas A&M because of the fact the way that Texas A&M plays their offense. And it reminds me of the 2019 Auburn Tigers when they would just spread out and their point guard would beat his man off the dribble, and that's how they would have open shots. Or he would just get the layup. And that's exactly what the Aggies are doing under Buzz Williams. Their guard, Wade Taylor, he is money, guys. He scored 23 and 22 points the last 2 games. Yeah. But they're going up against Arkansas tonight. And Arkansas, what are they good at? Yes, like what Trig was talking about, Musselman. He's a madman on the sidelines. I love him. But they're long, they're strong, they're good at defense. They jump out of the gym. They're not a team that you can penetrate very, very well against. And therefore, I think just the matchup wise for Arkansas, that's why I'm not betting Texas A&M. I like Texas A&M. I'm looking for ways to bet them, but I don't like that matchup tonight, guys.
Drew, to piggyback on you, they're long, they rebound well, right? They're able to kick it out to those guards. And when's the best time to take a three? Off of offensive rebound. Yeah. So they do that very well. Just wanted to add that in there.
Yeah. And actually, it's kind of a reason I like the under. And Brian Power said this earlier. 142, 141.5. Because Arkansas does have trouble scoring. That's like their weakness. They're good at defense. They're good at rebounding. But they don't have true scores. I know Nick Smith's coming back, but he really hasn't been all that good. So seeing this in the 140s, I do kind of like the under, but then it comes up, and we were talking about this in the group chat. Kelly, unders in college basketball have gone to die. You go back a month now.
So bad.
We're hitting 54%, guys, on almost 1,500 college basketball games, going back a full month, 54% to the over. That is something you have to take notice of.
Are you going to touch on which conferences particularly, or would you like to still keep that to yourself?
Well, I don't know if you saw, but the two I brought up and we got in a little spiff over, they both, I lost them both. So now I don't know what to do, Kelly.
You guys, poor Drew.
They went back to hitting last night, Drew, in that conference.
The offenses are just so efficient now. Yeah. Its offensive efficiency is just up so far. The offensive efficiency numbers are up, and so if teams are running efficient offense, the games are going to go over. That's just simple.
Fair enough. Very very simplistic answer there, Trig, because that's what it is, and especially in the Big 12, and that's what Drew was alluding to. Is I'm like, Drew, can I steal that from my show? And he's like, no, I need that information for myself. And then, of course, they go 0-2 last night. I do feel bad. But the Big 12, man, over the last month, at least in conference play, so month and a half, has just been wild. Just over. I would have been terrified to bet an under, and probably still, because not really any of those teams are coming out playing lockdown defense, right? We're just not seeing it. But I'm going to transition that into a team that I like tonight that does play lockdown defense. That is the Northwestern Wildcats. They helped me get my revenge on Purdue the other night, and they won outright. That was nice. I joked on Twitter I was not going to bet against Purdue. But of course I was. And I'm going to take the Wildcats again here at home. If you guys remember just about a week and a half ago, this team just got obliterated at home by Michigan. Only scored 51. But that's kind of the name of their game, right? They win ugly and they lose uglier. And I think tonight is a win ugly scenario, low scoring game, probably in the mid 60s against Indiana. I love this defense. They are absolutely smothering. And one of the handicapping tools I like, and I've said this before on the show, is Ken Palm Plus, and that's because you can manipulate the data. So one of the things that Northwestern does really well is they don't turn the ball over, and they're even better at that at home. They turn the ball over less than 9% of the time at home, Drew. And I mean, they are just locked down. They also make their free throws, which is not something I can say about this Indiana team. They can be really frustrating. We've seen them have their own nice little win streak since losing that road game to Maryland. They're off a nice win over Michigan. I'm hoping Northwestern doesn't have that letdown spot, right, after beating the top team in the country in Purdue. But I do think that they're really well coached, and I expect a knockout, drag-out fight here with the Wildcats coming on top.
Good breakdown there in the Big Ten, Kelly. Hey, follow-up question. What were you going at with Ken Palm Plus?
Okay, so you have Ken Palm. It's $20 a year. If you're not utilizing that, you're an idiot. That's what all the bookmakers use. I'm not saying to use his numbers. I'm not saying to use that, but the advanced metrics that he provides is basically free. So about a couple of years ago, he came out with Ken Palm Plus, and I'm like, $500? Do I really want to shell it out? It's been worth every penny because you can manipulate the data, whether it's you can do home road dichotomies, you can do conference play, you can do non-conference, which we saw work out really well for me in the Big 12 SEC kind of like mid-season tournament, if you will. But what I really like is just being able to manipulate the data in such a way that you can, let's say that CT's Baylor Bears has one really bad game. You can actually unmark that box and it will skew the data if you throw out the one like terrible game.
Oh, wow.
Or they had one great game, you can throw that out as well, or pick and choose kind of how you want to manipulate it. I'll give you my login, Drew. It's wonderful, especially when looking for these home teams, right? Right now, I'm not looking to back very many road teams, and that's just the truth. Especially in the Big 12, we've seen it just be an absolute gauntlet. And I could say almost the same thing for the Big 10, just on a smaller scale. Teams are really tough to beat at home, and that's why I like Northwestern tonight.
Wow, I love that. Did you guys know about Ken Palm Plus? I feel like I should have known about this earlier.
I think
Kelly's
both of these guys have my login, but I could be wrong.
I always forget that you gave it to us, and I forget to use it.
Listen, there's so much information out there, right? Like guys in the comments,
exactly.
StatMuse. There's a ton of really good ones on Twitter.
Right.
Ball. I can't ever say
shot quality's good.
Bartolovic.
I like shot quality. Shot quality's good.
Yeah.
I
mean, that's what I mean. Utilize your own. But because of me, Drew, wanting to manipulate the data, because we do media, right? And I need to make a case for a team. And you can't just go, well, Ken Palm said this. Well, so-and-so said that. When you're breaking down your own numbers and using that data to support your numbers, it's been really, really helpful. But we've also seen me kind of been on this crazy roller coaster ride. Last night, had an L with Oklahoma State. Just like Oklahoma versus KU, looked good for about the entire first half, gives up a bomb 3 in the corner, kills the first half spread, and then that was all she wrote. KU absolutely dominated that second half, as to be expected.
Drew, that comment was referring to last night's LSU-Georgia game. On last week's show, I said if Georgia beats Kentucky, whoever's going to that Georgia game should come back and take LSU. And then I didn't do it myself. After I said on the show, if Georgia beats Kentucky, we got to come back and take LSU. And I, unfortunately, Drew, I tuned in to that horrific performance for LSU over the weekend against Texas A&M and decided I just don't want any part of this team. And they came and I believe, did LSU, I didn't watch the end of that game. I think they might have covered, but not won. I don't know what ended up happening. I caught glimpses of it because it was just two terrible teams. I like to bet Georgia in certain spots, but Georgia should never be that big of a favorite. I don't care if they're at home or not. But then LSU's been on my do not bet list for at least a month. I mean, that team is just in shambles. Not New Mexico State shambles, but damn close. I mean, that team is not great.
That's a good way to put it. I mean, 63, 62, 53, the last time. That's their scoring output the last 3 games. That team can't score. You bring up New Mexico State. What's the deal here? They're just shutting down the program and like
well, they say it's not related to the guy that was involved in the shooting, but
it's hazing. That's what it was. It was a hazing incident, and I think it was just such a shit show. They're like, they canceled the season. Believe they fired the coach.
They definitely fired the coach.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it was like completely unrelated to the shooting incident. So like 2 things like that, and I think they were like, yeah, we're all set. The big winner here is Chris Jans for getting the hell out of New Mexico State.
Sorry,
before all that went down.
Jameel. I don't know who the fuck Mitch is, nor do I care. How about that?
Hey, Craig, let's so before we get the bets real quick, I thought it'd be cool to do this, right? So you like Tennessee tonight. Drew on Bama. I mean, I lean the Vols. I haven't played it, but curious. I'm looking at Saturday right now. Say Tennessee wins tonight, and you're correct, right? They go to Kentucky 1:00 on Saturday at Rupp. Do you like Kentucky in that spot if Tennessee wins and knocks off the number one team in the country tonight? I kind of do.
Probably. I'd have to see how Kentucky comes into the game and whatnot, but I mean that'll be Kentucky's a team that I think
They're banged up too. Kentucky.
I'm trying to figure out this Kentucky team, right? Their fans are like ready to jump off a cliff like mid-December, right? Because they had a whole like what was it, 6 losses or something, and you're just like everybody relax. Like this is pretty normal. I know you guys are a little spoiled there in Lexington, but calm down. And then they just rattle off 2 straight losses. Trust me, Mississippi State is not a good program. They're just not a good basketball team. They've been playing better as of late. If Kentucky struggles with Mississippi State tonight, like the line indicates, which I'm not getting involved in the game, that is really going to be kind of concerning because they're going to then have lost 3 straight. Now go home, expect them to get up big for Tennessee. I'd be kind of curious to see scheduling spot wise, Chris, to see how they do come to play versus the Vols.
Yeah, I agree with you, Kelly. Just Kentucky's tough for me to figure out right now. Like I haven't bet on them or against them.
I haven't either.
The only time I bet against them was with when did I bet against them this year? I think I bet against them with Kansas, and I did have Georgia on my long list. Didn't get to the window with them, and of course they won outright, which was just absolutely bonkers. But yeah, this is a Kentucky team that, look, bottom line, they're young. They aren't that cohesive. Calipari, maybe he's, getting a little hurt by some of that nil money finally. You know what I mean? We thought that the little teams were going to get hurt, but in fact, I think it's some of the bigger schools that are feeling some of the pain.
Well, Wheeler and Frederick have been banged up pretty much all year, and they're out again tonight too. So that doesn't help them. So
very true.
Drew, we had someone ask us in the show comments or before the show to touch on college basketball futures. I just want to throw that out there. Maybe we can go around the horn quick before best bets. I know Chris and I have a couple opinions. I don't know, but like it's getting to be a time where you could start to maybe sprinkle a future here or two on NCAA tournament teams. I mean, I have a couple from before the season, so I'll just throw it out there.
Let's do it. I got 2. You want me to start?
Start us off. Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't want to still see T's Thunder, but I jumped on Marquette 40-1, and another one. I'm going way off the radar here. This team might not even make March Madness, but they're surprising, and we touched on them a little bit. Well, SEC action here. Watch Texas A&M play, guys. Buzz Williams got them going, and they got Wade Taylor at the point guard position. I already touched on a little bit. They're spreading them out, and he is a good player, like NBA type guy that you probably haven't even heard of yet. And Texas A&M, I can't even add up all the wins that they've had here. Look what they're doing in the SEC. Arguably, the second best conference, and nobody's even talking about them. 200-1 to win the national championship. Give me some Texas A&M, guys. I just bought on it for a little bit. So that's one way off the radar for you.
Yeah, I'll just throw out the one. So before the season, Chris and I played four different futures. We took Houston, Baylor, Tennessee, and Texas, all at like pretty much what was the best number at the time. I think we've got decent numbers on pretty much all of them, except maybe I know Baylor, you could have got a really good number a couple weeks ago. The one I might add, after seeing him play in person last week, is UConn. I still, even though they've kind of been a mess, they've somehow lost like 7 Big East games. I still think they've got the right mixture of like size, ability to play defense, enough shooting where if they somehow got it all going together at the same time come March Madness, I mean, the game I went to, they just mopped the court with Marquette. So like, it's definitely, the potential is there. I don't know what's wrong with that team, Drew, but I think right now you'd be buying in pretty low on UConn. I think they might be worth a few dollars, and that's really where I'll probably cut it off, at least for now, with my liability with NCAA futures. Though I think Houston's going to win it. I think they're the best team.
Yeah, I agree with Trig. I'm obviously on all of those. The one that I am going to add that we don't have is if after tonight, if you're correct on the Vols, I'll be adding Alabama because they're 9-1 right now. And if they lose tonight, you'll probably be able to get 12, 13-1, maybe better. I think Houston and Alabama are the two most complete teams in the country.
Kelly, you like anything?
Yeah, no, I don't bet futures bets. You guys know this. Like very, very rarely. Like every once in a while, like every 3 or 4 years, I may have a Super Bowl future or a March Madness future. I think I'm a little late to the party. I think betting these futures early December, late November is the key. Unless, of course, your coach beats up his daughter's fiance and then just completely wrecks that for you. Sorry, CT. I know you had a future on Texas. And
doesn't matter. They're still
that's
nasty.
I'm not saying they're
still
not
good.
nasty. I'm not saying it's still not a very feasible bet. That's the problem I have, right? I think I need to bet it early, and then I get fucked on something absolutely ludicrous like that. Like Chris Beard, thank you so much for having a great family Thanksgiving. And then I'm holding subsequently a ticket that is worth, half of what I could currently get in the market. And that's where right now, I think if you guys are looking, something like what Drew just said, you're looking for long shots. I'm not looking to be betting favorites right now. Frankly, I'm not really looking at the futures market, and that's just because it's just not really my forte.
Yeah, Kelly, I mean, I know we got best bets coming up, but I'm not really a futures market bettor either, guys. It's just Texas A&M kind of surprised me, and I went to go look at what they were in the futures market, and I just saw 200-1, and like
that's crazy.
You put $50 to win 10 grand. I don't know. I mean, it's not something.
And Drew, I want to make a point to support that decision, right? Because I do NCAA futures as my alternative to having to fill out a bracket. I just don't do the brackets. Don't like it. Doesn't do anything for me. There's no money to be made there. So but I like, I'll have my futures going just, I guess, as an alternative to that. And I think there's some value in it. But because it's the NCAA tournament and you've got a nice 200-1 ticket, you don't need them to win. Like, if they get to the Final Four, you're going to make money having that. Like, you have the opportunity to profit if they win 4 games. So it's like, yeah, I'm all about taking a 200-1 type team because you'll have more, like potentially have more than one opportunity to like secure profit, get your money back, maybe even free roll it the rest of the way. So yeah, if you got a team that's a long shot like that you think could make some noise, I say go for it.
So here's my question, my last comment before we get to best bets, because I want to know and have, some, I guess, clarification from Drew. So Drew, when you're betting a team like Texas A&M that may not even make the tournament, right? Like we kind of just said that. They're on the outside looking in currently. And you're getting a crazy odd, right? What are you hoping? Are you hoping they make the tournament and then you bet against them? Are you hoping they make the Sweet 16? I mean, like these teams like St. Peter's, these teams like, I'm trying to think, like Loyola Chicago, years past, right? They had extenuating odds. And then all of a sudden they make it to the Elite Eight or Final Four. No problem. You can hedge from there. You can sell it on Prop Shop. You can do all sorts of things. But that's kind of where my question is what are you hoping with that $50 on Texas A&M?
Kelly, this is exactly how it went down. All right, I was watching Texas A&M play, first off against Auburn, and they won the game. And I'm like, man, that Texas A&M team, the way that they were playing, it reminded me of the 2019 Auburn Tigers. If you remember that team, they had a guy named Jared Harper as their point guard. He's now in the Phoenix Suns organization. Nobody even knew of him then. I only knew of him because I was an Auburn fan and watched him play. Kelly, they were going into about this time of year. I believe it was going into Valentine's Day. That team that made it all the way to the Final Four, if you remember, it was the year before the pandemic. There was a double dribble that Virginia didn't get called for in the Final Four. That's how their season ended. And that team was 5-6, under 500 in SEC play, going into right now. And then they went on a run, and I noticed that I made money betting on them because they would change their offense to their best player at the point guard position, and everybody else just get out of his way. And Jared Harper would beat his on-ball defender almost every time and either lay it up or dish it out for somebody to have an open shot. And that's what Texas A&M is doing right now. And I love that type of offense. And Wade Taylor, in my opinion, is that type of player. So it's one of those things. I don't think the market is in tune to what's really happening here. And at 200-1, I mean, this team is 18-7. I believe they're like 10-2 in the SEC. They're probably going to make March Madness. It's just nobody's really talking about it.
I definitely think that they have an outside shot. I think, I mean, I haven't looked at a recent bracketology. A lot of guys are asking about, when would you make it? Would you wait till the brackets come out? I honestly, futures bets, by the time the bracket comes out, you're way too late, in my opinion. At that point in time, I think you could have found better value. You could find better value betting open parlays at that point and just rolling over the money line.
Well said there, Kelly. Guys, we got to get the best bets. We're going over time-wise. Thought it was a great show overall. Again, we're brought to you by Viva Tequila Seltzer. Check it out, vivatequilaseltzer.com. If you use the promo code HUSTLE20 at checkout, guys, it's really good. If you don't like hangovers, there's no sugar. Viva Tequila Seltzer is a refreshing and drinkable hard seltzer. 88 calories, 0 carbs, 0 sugar, 4.5% ABV. Viva, the perfect drink for your post-game or pre-game celebrations. It was created with the active lifestyle in mind. Also powered by WagerTalk.com on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. That's how you can watch it live. Also, wherever you're downloading your podcast at The Hustle Show Podcast. Chris Thurston, Kelly Stewart, Adam Trigger. I'm Drew Martin. We got final thoughts here. Best bets going around the horn. Chris Thurston at CTBets16 on Twitter. CT, any final thoughts, best bets for the show?
Final thoughts. I think somebody in the comments said something like Mitch is destroying us on his platform. Hopefully you're not talking about Mitch from Pick Dogs, because everybody that works there is brain dead. So if you want to lose money, you could go over there and watch
I
Mitch.
didn't even realize that's who they were probably talking about. It's the fact that you even said that out loud is don't do
hilarious.
that again. No, don't, because all you're going to do is now give all these people who have no idea who the fuck he is, now they're going to go look and see who the fuck he is.
I think it's hilarious.
I've never heard of him. I've never met him. I know he inadvertently stole a really nice woman from us at WagerTalk and then fired her. And I think that's really shitty, because that just shows what a great human being he really is, right?
Yeah. Well, he's great. Okay. Anyway, so going to my best bet here, Drew. I'm going to go Florida State Clemson here. And this Seminoles team, they lost 5 of their last 6 games, 5 of their last 8 road games, and they've really struggled offensively, especially on the road. They're scoring less than 70 points per game, and they're rebounding. It's been horrible on the road, so I really don't expect them to be too good here tonight. The Tigers, they've been awesome at home. They've won 6 of their last 7 home games, and they've played really well offensively at home, scoring more than about 76 points per game, while making about 50% of their shots here. So I'm on the Clemson Tigers -9. I think it might have ticked up a little bit while we've been doing this show.
Yeah, I think it's 10 right now, CT.
So for the sake of the show, Drew, Clemson -10, best bet.
Okay, -10. DraftKings has 9.5. One Offshore has 9.5, and Circa is 9.5. Are we allowed to give them 9.5?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. Circa.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. It's best bets here, guys. He's CT Bets. We got Clemson 9.5. Adam Trigger at Top Flight SI on Twitter. The Twitter spaces he's got going. He's got WagerTalk.com. He knows his college basketball. He knows I'm guessing other things as well. Trig, what do we got? Final thoughts and best bets.
So real quick, Drew, I just want to fire a couple off at the horn. People asked about these games. Someone asked about Tulsa +4.5. I had Tulsa as a best bet over the weekend. They lost by like 100. It was an absolutely horrific performance against UCF. That being said, they're at home. My thought in that game is I don't think South Florida deserves to be a road favorite. So it would be Tulsa +4.5 would be the lean or nothing for me. Someone else said, Trig, that's a 6 Cincy zip up you have there. Do you have why are you wearing that? Well, I went to Cincinnati game a couple weeks ago. Fifth Third Arena is awesome. I got this there. As far as my opinion on that game tonight, yeah, I lean towards Cincy a little bit. Eastern Carolina, they canceled a game over the weekend. A death within the program they canceled the game for. I just think Cincinnati's pretty good. So not a huge opinion, but I would probably lay the points there. I think ultimately it gets there. I just like Cincinnati in that matchup. My best bet for the show, I'm going to go 25 minutes down the road for me, guys, to Hamilton, New York, to Colgate University, Central New York. They're at home tonight against Army. And, guys, I would take the points. I think it's too many. Army plus 12, it's a game that doesn't mean a whole lot for Colgate. They've already wrapped up the Patriot League. They could lose the last 4 games. It would not matter. They have the tiebreaker. They would win the league. So, not much to play for. I've seen them sort of go into cruise control in these bigger spread games a couple times of late. And Army really took them to the wire in the first game, Drew. Colgate was a 7-point favorite on the road. They needed a buzzer beater to come from behind and win that game in West Point. And remember, the Patriot League is one of 4 conferences that still plays their conference tournament at the higher seed, meaning campus sites host all the games. So if you're Army, there's a massive difference between finishing 2nd or 3rd or 4th because you get that home game, and that's key in the conference tournament. Army, Jalen Rucker, one of the best players in the conference. They know they can hang with Colgate. They had him on their home court. They fell short late. I mean, you had a 7-point favorite that almost lost. Now Army's just all of a sudden catching 12 on the road. This team's talented. I saw them play at Siena earlier this year. They won in overtime. And again, I just think Jalen Rucker is an exceptional player. Army, there's some redeeming qualities there. So I think that's too many, guys. Army plus 12 will be my best bet for the show. I think that's a better game than people might think it is going to be in Hamilton, New York tonight, Drew, right down the road from me, 25 minutes away.
All right, and why aren't you there? Isn't that your new claim to fame? You go to games?
Kel, I'm not there. You want to know why I'm not there? A, I've been to a couple Colgate games this year. B, I didn't want to miss you guys. And C, I'm going out to Youngstown, Ohio tomorrow. I will be at Youngstown State, Milwaukee, first place in the Horizon League on the line. It's going to be a great game. Can't wait for it. And I can tell you guys, I'll probably bet the Penguins of Youngstown State as soon as the line opens tonight.
All right.
Like it. All right. Good stuff.
All
Kelly,
right, I'm going to keep mine short and sweet.
Yep.
It looks like the market agreed with me here. I took Fresno State plus 8 earlier, down to 7.5 and even some 7s. So jump on that if you have not already. And I know nobody wants to back a 9-15 team catching points at home, but Fresno State has been super scrappy for me. And San Diego State, what have they done? They've won and covered 7 of their last, they've covered 7 of their last 8. They only lost the lone game. Where on the road in Reno, this team is just not the same on the road that they are at home. Squeaked out a win on the road versus Utah State. Fresno State's been good to me in certain key situations, and that is playing up to their level of ability, and that is against teams like UNLV, teams like New Mexico. So I'm expecting a pretty decent performance from the Bulldogs tonight. They like to play really slow. I hope that takes San Diego State kind of out of their rhythm, if you will. I know San Diego State, one of the most experienced teams in the country, very well coached by Brian Dutcher, but Mountain West has been good to me. And outside of the other night, hopefully keep it rolling. Air Force kind of put a wrench into things about a week and a half ago for me. But other than that, I've only lost 1 Mountain West game this year. So let's hope that I keep it just with the 2 losses there and the Bulldogs keep it close here at home.
KIV becoming the Mountain West specialist here on the hustle. Check her out.
Yeah, Drew, you just got to figure out which conferences you're good at. The Mountain West is just a conference I've always paid attention to from living in Las Vegas, and they've been good to me this year. This year, that conference, the Big 12, a little bit of Big 10, and definitely not the Big East. And I'm not going to bet Marquette tonight because I do not want to mush CT's Marquette play. He's welcome in advance. If I take Marquette, they're going to lose outright. That's how the Big East works for me.
Oh, no.
Clint, if that is really 9.5, I might have to look into that further. I didn't think Youngstown was going to be that big of a favorite, but so I will get back to you guys. I will post who I like in that game by the morning. So don't bet that yet. Let me look into it further. I'll let you know.
Oh man, guys, would it be mushing on Marquette? One last thing before my best bet here, CT, you were giving out the information about what Xavier being without their 2 point guards, is it?
Sule Boom is hurt. I just saw a tweet. He's starting. He's got a banged up ankle. His backup is out. So not sure who's going to come in and replace him when he needs rest and if he gets hurt again.
Okay.
So,
okay. Just wanted to make sure before I get give out my best bet here. Xavier and Marquette, guys. 159 is the low water mark. 159.5 widely available here. I'm going up and over Xavier and Marquette. I know Xavier's banged up here, a couple guys out, but Marquette, the style of basketball that they do play, it's up and down. They're at home. I think that they're going to win this game. I bet them on the side as well. In home teams, when they're favorites, I feel like they do a lot of times play in front of their home crowd, run it up a little bit at the end. So I think that might help us if it's close. So 159.5, Xavier and Marquette, number 1, number 2 in the Big East, nationally televised game, up and over for my best bet. That's CT Clemson -9 in the hook, Trig on Army +12, KIV, that's Kelly Stewart Fresno +7.5 as the underdog there in the Mountain West. And I'm on Marquette and Xavier over 159.5. That does it for the show. Chris Thurston, Kelly Stewart, Adam Trigger. I'm Drew Martin. Check out WagerTalk.com, VivaTequilaSeltzer.com as well. Thanks for tuning in. Please smash that like button. Feel free to comment below. We'll talk next Wednesday, 6 p.m.